Scott. I met Mike at the Libertarian Convention. Very cool guy. First time on the show. You can follow him at Mike Scott, one word. The number 1 is a numeral. He's an executive committee member for the Libertarian Party of Maryland. You can check them out at lpmaryland.org. Military for 22 years, both as enlisted as an officer, computer programmer as an enlisted man, and a data scientist as an officer. Organizations he belongs to is Disabled American Veterans, the American Legion, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Also volunteers at McVet, the Maryland Center for Veterans and Education and Training. That was a mouthful. How are you tonight, Mike?
I drink and I know things.
Excellent. First time here. How you feeling?
I feel really good. Thanks for having me on. I got a little idea what to expect. I'll try and keep it brief and have a little fun with it. And like I said, or like Ryan said, you guys have had some absolute rock stars on here. I'm really glad you consider me in that group. So thanks for having me on.
Ryan was talking about himself. Let's be honest. He was really just referencing himself. We're glad to have you. Yeah. He's been on some tough ones, man. He had Chase and Larry Sharp one time. He's had some, we've thrown him into the pit sometimes. Wow. So yeah, impressive. And also first time joining us, Ryan's partner in crime down there in El Paso, Dave Marino. You can follow him at EP Texas LP. He's also Dave Libertarian on X, and you can visit them at lplpaso.org. He's the chair of the El Paso County, Texas Libertarian Party, represents Senate District 29 on the State Libertarian Executive Committee. And he's a family man, a devoted Christian, and a retired soldier. How are you tonight, Dave?
I'm great. Appreciate y'all having me, man. Looking forward to this. Should be fun. I have no idea what to expect. So
that's good. That's usually the best tactic, is to go in blind, not knowing what a show this
absolutely.
is. So
I learned that my 25 years in the Army.
There you go. Yeah. Just stand behind somebody else, right?
What op orders? Talking about.
Awesome. And joining us as always, the lovely Terry Batts. How are you tonight, Terry? Terry, did you get shorter since the last show?
Actually, no, I didn't.
You're back to looking like a golf ball on the screen. What's going on there?
I don't know. I even raised my new chair up. I don't know what's going on, Free. What can I tell you?
Your house sinking? Is it hurricane season already? Are you floating away maybe?
No, that's a possibility. It is Florida. All right. I'm looking forward to this. These guys have already been cracking me up. So you might have to keep your eyes open to make sure I don't stroke out back here or anything, Free. It's going to be a great time, and I'm looking forward to the chat keeping me busy. Come on, you guys. Let's do this.
Okay. Well, if you get any lower, we won't be able to put you back on the scrin. So just
I'll raise the chair.
Keep that in mind. Or maybe just move the camera. That's another option too.
Okay. Thank you so much for all your advice. I appreciate you a lot.
You're welcome. I'm going to move my chair up so I look taller than you every time we come back on the screen. You can follow us. I am Freedom for Us for All. Terry is Bats T76. Bats T76. Our Friday night shows are sponsored by Zano. Tired of surveillance coys dressed up as Freedom Tech? Zano is the real deal. Open source, enterprise-grade privacy, scalable and secure, build, spend, and tokenize any assets without the peeping eyes. Zano isn't just private, it's none of their business. And if you're new to this space, you can visit intro.zano.org to learn how Zano gives you the power to own your own data, your money, and your assets, all in one simple, secure platform built for the real world. And like I said, that is intro.zano.org. We appreciate them joining us as a sponsor. And I've been taking credit. They've doubled since I've started doing the intros on this. So I've taken total credit for that in a very Trumpian way. It's very beautiful. I did it all myself. Thank you to me for doing that. Love having Zano. And I gave it to my son as his graduation present. So his is more than doubled since graduation. So he's very happy with his old man right now. So, and the government didn't know I gave him a graduation present, nor did my ex-wife. So that's good. And
you won't tell.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. You can also get our gear, our shirts, and our mugs on freedomsuperstore.com. I am wearing the Steal Your Wealth shirt tonight. We also have the Taxation is Theft. My other car is a Killdozer. Make Anarchy Great Again, or Satoshi for President. Make sure you're following all of our friends and all these great shows. Take a screenshot. Casey's show's on there. They both suck. Jack Danger and James Clary on Secret America. All these great shows. Larry Sharp, LPA Live, Green Man, Burn and Tea, Zach from Legacy Right, and all of my boys at the Black Powder Podcast for sure. Great people. And I also wanted to point out our buddy Sean Miller and the great people over at Liberty Policy Alliance have opened up, as of today, their nominations for the Champions of Liberty Awards. So, let's make an effort to go out there and tell people who's doing a great job out there. They've got Liberty Activist of the Year. They've got a youth one for 18 to 22, Free Speech Defender of the Year. Lots of great categories. So you can visit them at libertypoll_ally. You can't see the underscore because the ticker is over it, but it's libertypoll_ally, and visit them. So wanted to point that out. And let's get into the slides here. All right. So you can also follow us on YouTube and Rumble. We're Freedom Uncut on both of those platforms in case we get in trouble here on X, which happens on occasion. I already mentioned the shirts. Please share this out. Bust the algorithm up. The winner tonight would get the virtual Ron Paul holding the Ron Paul trophy. We also have Mike Johnson's signature cologne Swamp Ass and the Ayn Rand Fountainhead teddy bear. We also have the Lego Killdozer because me and Casey talk about the Killdozer all the time still. So the rules are, I am the government. Whatever I say goes. Scoring errors count. Life isn't fair. Suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares. You can debate each other. You can veto an answer, tariff an answer, redistribute an answer, and everybody starts off with negative 500 points because, as you know, the government gets paid first. Here's how the scoring works. Chat controls the score, give or take up to 100 points from the contestants. And before we jump into this, let's jump into the chat. And, lots of people here. Awesome. Chris was first. Sai's going to be so upset. Oh, he didn't even show up because he's so mad. Patty Boots is here. What's up? Amity's here. Lots of former contestants there. Excellent. Minus 100 for I was not well. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it for Dave. Rose is here. Welcome, Rose. Joe Hanush, 100 to Ryan for his historic electoral victory in the school board of El Paso. Dan's here. I want to be in a pick with Free for the intro one day. Yeah, it's quite the crew. Hey Shirley, joining us from across the pond. Appreciate you. Negative 100 to Ryan for being Ryan. Yeah, here we go. 100 to Mike for the drink and knowing things. 100 to Mike for the drink and knowing things. That was a good strategy right there. 100 to Ryan, minus 100 to Ryan for talking about himself.
Minus 100 to Ryan for wearing that shirt.
Yeah. Notice the shirt, the P colored M on his shirt. I lost points for talking Ryan up. 100 to Mike because he's the only one who follows me on X. Ryan's on Facebook with the with the grandmas, so that's his fault. Plus 1 to Free for the technical advice. Yeah. Now we can see Terry. See, I'm a genius. Point to Terry for growing a foot. 100 to everyone for wearing a black shirt, or everyone who is wearing a black shirt. That doesn't, the ugly blue doesn't count up there. Yeah. Minus 100 to anyone wearing a Michigan shirt. Absolutely, Kilburn. Well done.
Bring it on. I'm going to beat Mike Decentralized. This is great.
Dave lost points for being late, and minus 100 to Ryan for the historic victory. So, like I said, I feel like Ryan's got a target on him. I'm going to put Terry back in the back here. She controls the chat and the scoring. And yeah, I think you might have caused that outburst.
I did cause that. I'm sorry, Tub. I love you if you're watching.
Tub's never coming back on. He told us the other day. So, all right, lightning round. Here we go to Ryan Woodcraft. Categories: foreign wars, Ryan. Should the U.S. military only be involved in declared wars?
100%. right? Congress should declare war before we send anybody anywhere. I don't care whether you change the name from Department of Defense to Department of War to Department of whatever I want you to do. The Constitution is pretty clear. Congress has to declare war. If we're not declaring war, we're not going.
All right. Mike, to you. Should America close its overseas bases?
Yes. Yes. I looked at the Constitution. You know, all of us are vets. All of us swore to support and defend it. It said we could maintain a Navy, but it specifically didn't want us to have a standing Army. It said we could raise appropriations for an Army, but they couldn't last for more than 2 years because the founding fathers saw this crap coming. We're way too big. We need to close them down. What do we have? 750 bases in like 80 countries and personnel in like twice that, military personnel. Yeah, close all of them. All of them.
Perfect.
Except for the ones in Guam. Guam rocks.
Would you allow Trump to turn that into a golf course instead?
I mean, golf is nice. The beach is good. I don't need golf.
Okay. All right, Dave, to you. Should we end all foreign wars now?
Absolutely. At least all the violent conflict part of it. I mean, the real way we could win wars. I mean, to be frank, the U.S. is the consumers of the world. I mean, we can control the violence in the world just by how we consume. I mean, I know we oppose tariffs, but tariffs are a very valuable resource if we were trying to stop bad actors from doing bad things. We can stop violence by using that economic power that the United States has. There's no real reason for us to be supporting foreign wars and perpetuating this violence around the world.
Great answer. All right, Ryan, back to you. Do foreign wars make America less safe?
Yeah, absolutely. All we're doing is putting ourselves closer to the violence, if not causing more violence just because we're there. You know, we changed the name decades ago to the Department of Defense for a reason, right? And I highlight that twice because as of today, it's changing back to Department of War, right? We should be defensive in nature, not offensive in nature. And so when we're out there upsetting other countries, upsetting other people groups, getting involved in skirmishes that we don't belong in, that just puts a bigger target on us. Not because we're America, not because we love freedom, but because we stick our nose where it doesn't belong.
I was thinking, what about Department of Embezzlement and Dead.
Department of Fraud, Waste, and Abuse.
Yeah. I've got better names. They should have called me. All right. Mike, to you. Should America end nation building abroad?
Depends. It really depends. There are things that I am very unlibertarian about that I would like to see happen. But actually, no, I was wrong. No nation building. We can do that as individuals. We can do that as communities if we really want to do it. My church sends out folks all the time to go help feed people in India and in Asia. We can nation build without the government getting involved. They should stop doing most stuff. Yes, stop it.
Excellent.
Okay, I didn't know I could just jump in and interrupt Ryan's answer about the creating more enemies thing. But when we involve ourselves in these foreign wars and we're the collateral damage that happens, or even not even the collateral damage, when we're killing the parents of children, now those children hate Americans, and we're creating more terrorists that hate America. I don't think a lot of the general public realizes. I mean, they think that the rest of the world just views us as this shining beacon of liberty on a mountain. In reality, there's a lot of people in a lot of countries out there that hate us, like murderously hate us, because we've killed so many of their family members, and just by collateral damage in these conflicts we've been involved in.
And if I can add on to that,
go for it,
dude. The only reason we have to secure our borders is because we bombed, bought drugs from, or sold arms to, and destabilized every other decent country on this freaking planet. It's our fault we have to close our borders because, I mean, for a couple centuries, people would come in, ply their trade, and leave. Now it's dangerous because of our foreign policies, our drug wars, and our continued violence and destabilization of other nations around the planet.
Yeah, they used to want to come here for our blue jeans. They, and they didn't do bad stuff while they were here. So we should go back to that. All right, Dave, your question. Should Congress slash the Pentagon's budget?
Absolutely. I mean, what are we? Isn't our defense budget like that equal to like the next 6 countries combined? I mean, $1 trillion. And it goes back to like, if we closed those bases that we had overseas, if we brought all of our troops home and we actually became a defense department, we wouldn't need all this money. I mean, we're already more technologically advanced than every country in the world. I mean, there's actually there was a scenario, like a simulation that they played out where the entire world, our allies included, attacked the United States. The entire world versus the United States. And the U.S. still won 1 out of every 6 times. That, to me, that's insane. So yeah, we could definitely slash the budget. I don't think we need. I mean, it's just a slush fund for government, anyways. Most of it. I mean, they think that the $10 toilet and the $100 pen is make believe, but those of us that have been in know that it's not so much make believe.
Yeah, it was actually the top 20 countries combined. And then that was before they raised the budget to $1 trillion this year. But China's also spending a bunch of money, so those numbers have changed. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane. So,
well, and you just look at the economics of that. Labor in the United States is not cheap. Equipment, parts is not cheap because of the way that we run our economy. And so for us, we have $10 toilet seats and $2,500 coffee mugs on jets and $100 ink pens because the military industrial complex wants to pump that money back into the congressional districts. And so when you look at the amount of money that China spends, they can do everything much cheaper, much faster. It doesn't have to last 20 years. It only has to last 2 or 3 because they can afford to make it much quicker, much cheaper. And it's going to put us behind the power curve. When you start adding things like the tariffs to the mix, we could import an entire vehicle from Japan cheaper than we could import the materials to make it here. And so from an economic standpoint, not only could we cut the Defense Department budget, we could cut it by half if we just changed our labor and economic policies.
Don't even get me started on why it's cheaper to ship rice 10,000 miles than just grow it here. But let me jump into the chat here. Amity's got 100 to Terry for girl power. Minus 100 to Ryan for having there's got to be an easier way infomercial hand gestures. Plus 1 to Ryan for declared wars. Minus 100 to Ryan despite his good answer. Good strategy. 100 to Mike for closing foreign bases. 100 to Mike, same thing. 100 to Mike for having the proper amount of flair. Yeah, that's important. 100
to
hair for ending all wars.
I thought 100 for having the proper amount of hair.
Wow.
That's what I read. No offense, man.
I'm closer to Mike than you guys, so I'm on Mike's team on this one. So Ida's here. Welcome. 100 to Mike for closing overseas bases. 100 to Dave for the base Texas background. 100 to Dave for showing me his background through the little holes between his head and the headphones. 100 to Mike for his Maryland Pride cool logo on his shirt. Oh, fancy. I like how the Maryland flag has all of the colors. Like, it's very Fisher Price. Minus 100 to Mike for depends. Joe Biden used them all the time. 100 to Mike for reverting that decision. 100 to Mike for believing in globes. Asking for $953 billion right now for 2026. Trump for sure said $1 trillion. 100 to Mike, destabilizing nations most definitely has made our borders less safe. 100 to Dave for answering on people hating us. 100 to Mike for decorating with those used hospital waiting room chairs. Recycling is always appreciated. Drones are cheap AF. That is what we'll be fighting for sure. 100 to Dave for having the shuffling cards hand gestures with, I like Scientific puts a little emojis in there, so it makes them a little more special.
Can I throw in one on that drone thing, by the way? That scares the crap out of me because the first time I saw a Chinese drone fireworks display, I started thinking, man, what could you do with that and AI targeting? Man, they just changed the entire game. F-22s and F-35s aren't it. You get a bunch of those with a quarter pound of C4 and facial recognition, dishes are done. We're done.
Well,
Ain't
I
nothing
think
to do about it.
they haven't released it yet, but the speculation was they took out that cigarette boat with a drone, and that was 11 people in a whole cigarette boat with one drone. So I mean,
have you seen the Russian drone fly into the Ukrainian personnel carrier? And the people are like, ah, and the thing just flies in and it goes blank. Yeah, it's a whole new ball game.
well, and they could send those right down your street too. If they want to implement something here at home. So they have flamethrowers on them and they're nasty. And then, all right, I lost 100 for shipping rice. We have enough Hondas with ridiculous exhausts.
I haven't heard that one in a while.
My first cough of the night. There we go. All right, back to it. Ryan, to you, the category is justification for war. Should presidents be barred from initiating military offensives?
Oh, I'm going to get fried for this one. No, I think because that puts an absolute and it ties the president's hand in a situation that it may not need to be tied in. I would like to believe that any president of the United States would make that decision very judiciously. I can't say that would be the case for the past two administrations, so that scares me. As it sits now, the president of the United States can send the Marine Corps wherever the president wants to. I don't think we should take that away from the president, but I think there's got to be a way to make it just a little bit more judicious in the decision-making process.
I hope that was your worst answer of the night. It's only up from here, from that one. So, all right, Mike, to you. Should America fight only wars that are declared by Congress?
And see, everybody says war. Man, there are wars. There are police actions. There are operations. If we got to go kill somebody, we got to go kill somebody, and the president's the commander in chief. And maybe it's because of my background, but there's got to be one boss you look at. There does need to be checks and balances on his power. I believe the War Powers Act, he can only send them for so many days or whatever, but we have to have the ability to respond flexibly and do violence. I just wish we could trust our leadership more to believe in what they're doing, because I have no faith in our leaders. So I would love to strip all those powers, but that starts to take away our sovereignty as a national power ourselves if we allow them to have warfare by committee. What's that? Yeah.
I was worried a drone flew through your office there. Are you okay? Was something happened in the
It's one of those things where that question bothers me because, I would love to strip all the power from him, but doing that has consequences that we won't see until we do it. And then we won't be able to respond to things we need to respond to. I don't know that we should take the power just because idiots are using the power like idiots.
Yeah, Mike, it goes back to our non-aggression principle. Right? Like, you don't want to take away the ability to respond to an attack. I think where we all agree on is that we shouldn't be the ones initiating the attack.
Yes.
And what level of flexibility from a reactive nature do we need to have? I'm not saying that the president can declare war, but the president does have the ability to respond to a certain extent if needed. Congress needs to be able to have that ability as well. Just, how do we shape that properly moving forward?
Well, we could stop electing liars and thieves, but it seems like we won't do that.
Well,
we ain't done it yet.
The original context of the founding fathers, it was supposed to be 50 state militias. It wasn't supposed to be a standing army controlled by the federal government. So the compromise, I think, is when they did get a standing army, that Congress would be the one that would be the one that declared war. So you'd have to basically get the 50 states to agree to declare war. But I think now with how bipartisan, or the two-party system in Congress, that whichever party is in power is going to decide. So if we have a Republican president now, so if the Republicans are running Congress, then whatever he says they're going to go with, and so it's basically the same thing. You still have executive power declaring war. So the whole system is broken because of two-party system.
Yeah, but I mean, both sides seem to agree on bombing Yemen, supporting Israel.
Which is even scarier.
Yeah, they all seem to agree on the folks we need to bomb. I don't know.
Yeah, Somalia, 100%. I think that was Mike's question, right? Yep. All right, Dave, to you. Should foreign wars require a direct attack on the U.S. first?
Yeah, I might get fried for this one, but I'm going to say no. I mean, we do have allies. So, I mean, a direct attack against one of our allies should be construed as a direct attack against us. Getting involved shouldn't.
That one.
and I mean, there's a lot of leeway on what you would consider attack. You think about the Iran hostage situation. Was that a direct attack against America when they took American hostages? I mean, so there's a lot of leeway there on what you can construe as an attack on America. Now, if you're talking, a direct attack against us as a nation or one of our overseas bases or Americans in general, then absolutely, that would require some kind of, repercussions. But I don't think that would be the only reason for the U.S. to get involved in something. But it definitely would have to be retaliatory against some kind of violence.
Okay. Ryan, to you. Should regime change ever be a U.S. military goal?
No, absolutely not. Whether it's another country or whether it's our own, our military as an entity is supposed to be apolitical for a reason, and we should not be used for political means in any capacity.
Okay. Mike, to you. Should the U.S. fight wars without clear exit plans?
No, we should not. Right now, it seems like the only reason we fight wars is because we got way too many bullets and ammo saved up, and we need to go ahead and expend some of it. We should not go in without a clear exit plan, clear goals, clear objectives. That way, once they're accomplished, we can get out of it. These forever wars are killing us.
All right. Dave, to you. Do foreign wars serve American interests or special interests?
Sometimes both, but mostly probably special interests. I mean, you could just follow the money. Who's getting paid for it, and that's generally I mean, when was the last conflict that actually seemed like it was protecting the United States or that actually served Americans' interest? I mean, World War II, you could say was like, yes, we had, the evil, the axis of evil or whatever they called it, the three powers that were basically just attacking, countries and stuff. But we haven't had anything like that in forever. That's why I say, I mean, most of this violence isn't necessary. We could use our economic power to stop most of these conflicts without resorting to violence. So no, I think special interest is probably making the most money off of it. The military industrial complex, particularly.
I agree.
To add on to that, by the way, Major General Smedley Butler, I had to look it up real quick. He said that war is never fought for freedom. It's always fought for the rich. He was a major general. I think he was a Marine. And he called it out back then. There are reasons to fight wars, but I really think lately and in recent history, as in the last 100 years or so, they've all been bankers' wars. Most wars
fought by the rich, paid for by the poor. Or fought for the rich, paid for by the poor.
Yeah.
All right. To Ryan, categories national security. Do military bases overseas protect Americans?
More often than not, no. There is a case to be made for some forward position bases as deterrents. Guam would be one of them when you look at some of the assets that we have located on Guam. Anything else is left over from a previous conflict or war just so that we have interest there. We still have a base in Kuwait because that was a deal with the Kuwaiti government when we went after Saddam the first time. We still have bases in Korea and Japan because of the conflicts. We still have bases in Germany because of previous conflict. So no, I don't think it does outside of those that are deterrent and defensive in nature specifically.
As an add-on, and I think it's dime fill now, but we used to harmonize the dime. Diplomatic, information, military, economic. A military base is not just forward power. It is about $1 billion a year to the local economy. The reason why we're in so many places, there was one place we went where we exercised by bringing all these people in. And I was laughing because during the actual war plans, the O plan stated they wouldn't fly in because air defense was so nasty. They prosecute the war from elsewhere. The entire point of bringing them in was spending a crap ton of money during the exercises to keep the country, the host country, happy with us. Half of what we do isn't even what we really do in a fight. It's just to spend money.
Absolutely. All right, Mike, to you. Should U.S. troops only defend America, not foreign soil?
Man, there's no king but Christ. And there are reasons why you should get into a fight, but I really think leading with love is the answer. I don't see a lot of reasons to get into a fight because I don't trust our leadership right now. Should we only fight on American soil? No. But for a little while, it'd be a good idea just to bring us home.
All right, Dave, to you. Has endless war made America weaker, not stronger?
Oh boy. Well, you could say endless war has made us stronger because it's gave the politicians a reason to increase our defense budget to astronomical means and blow up our military to a point where it's just ridiculous. But it's also made us weaker because it's created so many enemies for us around the world where we're not the beacon of liberty and stuff on the hill anymore, but we're basically the people that are bombing their family members and stuff. So it's kind of both, I guess.
Good answer. All right, Ryan, to you. Is national security best served by neutrality abroad?
Ooh, neutrality abroad.
You like that? I've given you a couple zingers here. I'm not going easy on you tonight.
Yeah, I don't think so. We're not Switzerland. I think there's a wrong and a right. In the gray areas, we need to discuss and debate and use diplomacy. But we're not Switzerland. We don't stay out of everything, no matter what. We need to be on the side of liberty. We need to be on the side of freedom. We need to be on the side of just offense and retaliatory defense. So neutrality abroad, I don't think so.
Okay. Mike, to you. Do foreign wars create more enemies than they destroy?
Yes, undoubtedly. Yes. Every time you bomb a wedding, every time you declare any military age man as anybody above 13 or 14, because you just blew up a bunch of kids at a wedding and you need an excuse for it. Yes, we're destabilizing the globe and creating enemies for America at an exponential rate. Yeah.
All right. Dave, to you. Should U.S. troops guard the border? Little El Paso question for you here.
No, absolutely not. The rules of engagement for soldiers in combat are completely, I mean, we have bases on the border for a reason. And the thing is, and the same thing with it kind of goes into having foreign bases overseas. I mean, our military is able to react to anywhere in the globe in an instant, just about. So I mean, if we did actually have an invasion, like Canada or Mexico decided to invade us, which is not likely, right? Then our troops could get there pretty quick. But I mean, the real problem with the border is I mean, you bring up the Bible. I have one right here too. Jesus was a refugee and an immigrant, so he wouldn't be able to get in the U.S. right now either. So the border, if we would end the drug war, then our border patrol can concentrate on human trafficking and stuff like that, the more serious crimes that are against humanity, instead of just trying to stop people from consuming things that they want to consume. And then, because the cartels, that they're basically living off of that black market. So, and they're creating the corruption in Mexico. And that's what's feeding all this nonsense at the border. It's feeding the corruption. It's keeping those countries from having a great economic system, by having all this corruption because of the drug war that's fed by the United States. So I mean, that's the solution at the border, and make our immigration system a lot easier. Putting troops on the border is an absolute insane thought to me. I mean, I think Border Patrol is armed enough.
Those nasty cartels, you know. All right.
Yeah, we should
Enter
bomb them.
scores. If you've not put your scores in the chat, now is the time to do it. Let's jump into the chat. Lots going on in the chat. 850 people joining us so far. Keep sharing this out. Kilburn pointed out there's slaughter bots for sure. Minus 100 to Ryan for allowing presidents to declare war.
That's not what I said.
It's pretty close. Pretty close. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I think she's smarter than you. 100 to Mike. Watching drone racing, you could be taken out before having a chance to rack your shotgun. Absolutely, Dan. Minus 100 Ryan again. Good answer. Those are my favorite. Keep them coming, Kilburn. 100 for the first to say end the Fed.
In the Fed.
There we go. Minus 200 to Mike for unearned points. Plus 1 to Ryan for non-aggression and accepting his loss. 100 to Mike for stop electing liars and thieves. I meant Dave. Minus 100 to Mike for defending other governments that want war money. Minus 100 to Dave for going to war for allies. I love the quotes around allies. 100 to Mike for having the curtains that Xerxes used while defeating King Leonidas. I don't know what you're talking about there.
300. 300. 300.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't like movies really. All right. I think he does that every show just to screw me up, which is fine. 200 to Mike for not supporting the military industrial complex. How about we just don't go in unless we are on the defensive? Good point, Chris. 100 to Mike, Bankers Wars. 100 to Mike for saving me money on my taxes by switching to the non-aggression principle. That'd be really nice. Save you a lot of money on your taxes. 100 for no king but Christ. Amen. Minus 100 no to only fighting on American soil. I went soul there. It was a lot of Bible talk. Wasn't paying attention. Minus 100 to Ryan.
Why is the phlebotomist blowing me up?
From Ryan.
What is the deal?
It said minus 100 from Ryan.
Well, same difference. To Ryan from Ryan. He loses.
Scientific loses enough weight to squash Gwyneth Paltrow, and now he's getting cocky in the chat.
Yeah. It is King James. And then Dan lost 100 for removing books of the Bible. All right, Dave made me think 100. 100 to Dave for the Jesus reference, a refugee and an immigrant. 100 to Free for thinking I'm smarter than Ryan. And then you go and misspell Ryan, so that kind of screwed up my whole point there.
Who am I, Casey now?
Yeah. You're gonna end up with a bunch of vowels that don't belong in your name. Audience question for the vets: should our military's rules of engagement be rewritten with liberty for all taken to mind more? I'll leave it up for a second.
I'm confused on that one too.
I'll get it started, and then you guys can piggyback where it makes sense. The rules of engagement are so convoluted, depending on where you're at, who you're fighting, and what constitutes military action or not. Right? You're always allowed the right to self-defense. So no matter what, if you feel threatened and you need to defend yourself, you can do so. But shooting an enemy combatant, it gets convoluted, very similar to the way it does at home, right? If they're charging you with a rifle, you shoot them in the face. If they drop their rifle and run away, you cannot shoot them in the back. That's a war crime. Engaging a populace with a predator drone armed with a Hellfire missile, you have to have, positive ID, whether it's visual or voice or some type of electronic. There has to be these certain criteria that are met, and it becomes such a convoluted process that's meant more to keep our asses out of legal trouble than it is to actually do the job. So I don't know that rewriting the rules of engagement from a liberty perspective would actually help. I think we just need to get back to basic humanity and look at these people as human and really kind of start to take the approach from that perspective.
So did they have positive ID on that boat before they bombed it?
Oh, they knew it was a boat. That was about it.
It was
Everything
carrying a
else
lot of weight, though.
Was it a threat? I mean, we're talking rules of engagement. Was it a threat? Was it threatening somebody? I mean, you think about it. If we, as you know, I think probably all three of us or four of us are probably all former combat veterans. If we would have blew up that boat, what do you think would have happened to us?
Yeah, that's a war crime, right? We're going to get civilian casualty. We're going to get a civilian casualty investigation. We're going to get run through the ringer, right? We'll lose rank, you'll lose money, you may do jail time. Like, it's going to be bad. You know, Pete Hegseth is not qualified to be a battalion commander. The dude has no business being our Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, whatever you want to call him, right? Send him back through college so we can go learn what the other majors learn. Have him do some PowerPoint slides and get the heck out of the Pentagon.
So once again, it seems like, you know, it's the politicians in DC making the laws that they don't have to abide by. So we have rules of engagement that we have to abide by on the ground, but they don't have to abide by it, you know, sitting up in DC. They can just bomb whoever they want.
And it's already a completely different thing. If you're a combat vet, they're ROE, but my boy was a fighter pilot, and he said it was like being a dump truck driver or a garbage man. He would drive out, fly out, hit the pickle button, dump exactly what they told him to dump, exactly where they told him to dump it, and he'd fly back to his base. So in all the technological stuff, you got the predator porn, you got all the eyes in the sky. They already have good ROE for that stuff as far as what you do. The horrible part that needs the ROE is when the guys are in the mud shooting at each other, and I'm not sure there is any ROE for that other than get home alive, which means do what you need to do. I don't know.
But to go back to the question, I don't know really how we would integrate, you know, liberty for all into an ROE. I think you're mixing the terms a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the scores here. Let's see where we're at. Mike in the lead with 1501. Dave with 300. And Ryan is nearly a negative 1,000 minus.
Come on, I got a long way to go to get to minus 34,000, y'all. Drop those negative points in the comments. Let's go.
Hey, you know, all you got to do is get somebody to start stealing some signs from me and Mike, and I'm sure you'll get some more points.
There you go. Yeah,
like
put that Michigan shirt to the test right there.
13-10, Dave. 13-10. You guys lost to the worst Michigan offense.
There's an asterisk next to every game you've won for the past 3 years. So, I mean, that's what you guys are going to do because you can never defend any of those wins anymore.
All right, Dave, you're in second place. What do you think so far?
Pretty cool. You know, making me think. Yeah, making me think. Working my brain a little late in the evening, and I haven't had nothing to drink yet. So.
Well, you can change that. That's a fixable problem. Mike, you're way out in the lead here. What do you think?
The guys in the audience are drinking too.
We got a couple more comments that popped up here. Patty says Canada minus 1,000 for Dave. Phil's here, 100 to Terry so she can afford to buy some flax milk. Yeah, we had a flax milk issue on the last show. 200 to Mike on behalf of Kilburn. Minus 300 to Mike for invalid points. I'm a bandwagon jumper and birds live in Andy's hair. 200 to Mike for a smile like a wet trampoline. I'm not even sure.
I don't know what that means.
No, me neither. Dr. Blaze here. What's up, Charlie? Thanks for the repost.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
100 to Ryan for the convoluted edition. 100 to Dave for the was it a threat on the boat? Y'all got what I meant. Yeah. This is why we don't take audience questions, Chris. So thanks for reminding me of that. All right. And all right, back to it. Ryan, to you. You got a little work to do, Ryan. Let's try to shape up a little bit here. Human cost of war. Should families bear repeated deployments for military action with no end?
No, absolutely not. I mean, you look at my career. You know, I spent 21 years. I spent over 6 years of my life away from my family. You know, 2 deployments to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan, 1 to the Arabian Gulf, numerous stateside rotations. You know, 1 to Washington D.C. for 6 months. You look at month-long rotations, at training centers. One of the things that gets beat into us is selfless service from the get-go. In basic training, they beat into you selfless service. And at some point, it just becomes indentured servitude. There's a lot of things that I'm willing to give up for the benefit of my family or my community or my nation. But at some point, I have to be selfish too, and enough is enough.
And we didn't fix any of those problems, by the way. I'm not blaming you particularly, but I think those are all still problems.
Nah, man, they put me in the chipper and they spit me out, and they find the next person to put in the chipper.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing that. But Mike, to you. Do foreign wars destroy more American lives than they save?
I'm not sure foreign wars save any American lives. I know it destroys a whole bunch of lives overseas, but I'm not sure it saves any American lives. Foreign wars. I don't think so. So, yes, it does.
It generally makes us less safe. So, I mean, makes us less safe.
And a bunch of guys don't come back as well adjusted as you guys are. So that's another part of it too.
Well, Ryan touched on it, but it's really so much worse than that. I mean, they gave me 7 shots of anthrax in that 6-shot series. I had 7 of them. They expand on you. They do whatever you want. You are definitely in indentured service. And they say it's God, country, service, family, self. You couldn't even see my hand on the screen. That's where we are in our priority scale. They drill it into you and you believe it wholeheartedly and you press on and work for them and give them everything you got. And then when you're done, sometimes they cut you a check. Sometimes. Yeah. It's ugly out there.
Yeah. Chris says, bite me. You're welcome, Chris. I'm here to serve. Yeah. Great point, Casey. Lots of points to every soldier that fought our government's wars. Salute. All right.
Jerry, can I actually get all of those points and not just 100 of them? I need all of them.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike,
Casey will rescind it very quickly.
Hey, Mike, before I forget, I just want to say DAV is by far my favorite and probably the best veteran support organization, nonprofit out there. And if before you give to any, this is just my viewpoint, before you give to any other veteran agency, you should give to DAV.
Excellent. I'll repost that if anybody's got a post on that for sure. All right, Dave, to you. Are endless deployments destroying America's military strength?
Our strength is in our technology. I would say, besides the fact that these endless deployments just keep increasing their excuses to run up the defense budget and build more ships and planes and bombs. But when it comes to the actual people, absolutely, people are becoming less patriotic. They're becoming less, like the kids aren't wanting to serve anymore. They just see the endless wars. They see that the wars aren't being fought for the right reasons. And then you got all of these troops that are coming back, like myself, who, have, PTSD and issues reintegrating into society. Not that I do, but, but they have all these issues, and then people see that. So it's making the people in the military weaker. Of course, the defense budget and the technology is getting better, but the people and the real value in our military is its soldiers, and the soldiers are becoming weak.
Yeah, Dave, there's a reason why we dump a whole bunch of money into new technology and weapon systems and really less money into the personnel side of it. And it's there's 2 sides to the coin, right? Like the more technology we can lose overseas, the less American lives we lose. And so I can see that, we want to keep our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and I don't count the Guardians yet, but we want to keep them as far away from the front lines as possible. And if we can use technology to bridge that gap, great. The bad part is that by doing that, we're not as fit. We're not as resilient. We're not as disciplined. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can watch 2 parades. You can watch one from June with the United States Army, and you can watch the most recent one from the People's Republic of China, and tell me which one looks more disciplined. It doesn't mean that they're better. It doesn't mean that they have better equipment, better fighters. They just look the part. And sometimes appearance is half the battle.
I will have you guys know that it's not just combat deployments. We also have to do weeds and seeds down in DC.
Yeah.
In the garden.
Yeah. There's the landscaping duty, which is rough this time of year.
Well, I tell you, I spent my first 3 years on active duty was at Fort Hood as a combat engineer, 1st Cav Division. And of those 3 years I spent at Fort Hood, I was home 6 months. I did 4 deployments down to South America with JTF North, and then NTC rotations, train ups for all of that. I was literally home 6 months out of 3 years. And this was without a declaration of war.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That sucks.
All right. So I think that was Mike. So no, was that Dave? That was Dave.
That was Dave.
Yeah. All right. So Ryan, to you, new category, financial cost of war. Should foreign wars be funded with borrowed money?
No, but everything we do is funded by borrowed money. We can't balance our budget. We're borrowing money from our enemies just so we can pay our bills. Stop doing unnecessary conflict overseas without a declaration of war. Let's pay down the national debt, if not pay it off, and then let's have that conversation. But I mean, we can't pay the bills without borrowing money from China. Like, what are we talking about?
Agreed. Mike, to you, do endless wars bankrupt future generations?
Yes. 962 billion is the 25-26 defense budget. What is that? 2.7 billion dollars per day, every day. Right now, we're running a $37 trillion debt. Representative Schweikert, Dave, said we're borrowing $70,000 to $72,000. I think he said per second. Per second. People don't understand the scale of it, or it doesn't matter to them. But we're not only bankrupted, we're taxing the heck out of us because our money's been deflated, 98% since 1913? Your dollar today is worth about 2.5 cents from 1913. 1964, the minimum wage was $1.25. $1.25 in 1964 had about $35 worth of silver in it. We need sound money. We're bankrupting future generations through taxation, inflation, and endless war. We can't keep doing it. Can't.
Yeah, my rough rule of thumb is that $1 trillion is $10,000 per taxpayer. So if you've got 2 taxpayers in your household, that's $20,000 per taxpayer. So that's $140,000 for just this year's budget, let alone the national debt, the unfunded liabilities, all of that stuff, the interest, just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. It was Hayek that said, if socialists understood economics, they wouldn't be socialist. We have an entire country full of people and lawmakers that don't understand basic economics.
Very true.
Unfortunately, there's not a socialist out there that's read any of Hayek.
That's also true. Dave, to you, should the Pentagon budgets be slashed before another foreign war starts?
That's interesting. Why would you slash the budget before you start a war? You should just slash the budget. I mean, it's ridiculous. We shouldn't be starting foreign wars, and we should just slash the budget. So, do we do both? I mean, not start any wars and slash the budget? Yeah, so the question didn't really make much sense to me.
Yeah, kind of a take on one you already had too. So my fault.
It's one of the very few things President Obama got right. Sequestration wasn't warmly welcomed, but it was the right doggone idea. Like, you need to start cutting unnecessary stuff.
All right. Let's check out
Who
the chat
chooses-
really quick here.
Who chooses what's unnecessary, though?
Let's just cut 95% of the federal budget and see what happens. I mean, I twittered or X'd Governor Moore in Maryland, and I was like, dude, you went from a $5 billion surplus to a $3 billion deficit. You know, and the only time he even hinted at defend the guard was when Trump was saying he's going to take, you know, and deploy the guard. He said, no, I have the right to say no. But whenever I told him, hey, let's talk about defend the guard, he came out and he was basically, no, the federal, these people have no ethics and they have no consistency in their decision making, their budget. I hate politicians. Man, I hate politicians.
No, I was talking about like the defense budget, you know, because I mean we've seen it in budget talks, right? You know, well, the supply guy says you should cut the cook's budget, and then you got the Marines saying you should cut the Army's budget, and Army says you cut the Air Force budget, you know. So everybody's arguing if they're going to start cutting budgets, who's going to pick who's going to cut it?
Nothing gets cut.
I think that's twofold.
No.
You look back at COVID and everything that the federal government shut down. We didn't need it to begin with, so stop funding that. That's pretty simple. And then the flip side is let's get back to a constitutional framework on what do we actually need within the Department of Defense, Department of War, whatever you want to call it, right? Do we need a Navy? Yes, it's constitutionally mandated. Okay, that's a priority. So let's save that and look at everything else. And then, you know, the farther away from the flagpole you get, you start slashing. Again, one of the few things that Doge got right and people got mad, but those doggone federal workers had to send an email every week on what they were doing. And if you weren't doing anything, you didn't last long.
Casey gave 100 to Dave and Mike because of Ryan. 100 to Mike. Amity is drinking. -1 to Ryan. You're welcome. -100 to Dave for not having anything to drink. +100 to Mike and cheers. 100 to Mike, foreign wars don't save lives. 100 to Dave, foreign wars make us less safe. 100 to Ryan if he shouts Wolverines.
Wolverines, go blue.
-100 just to make sure that wasn't worth anything.
That was a Red Dawn reference, not your stupid football team.
You're stupid.
100 to Dave, our strength is always in our technology. I think a million points to all the brave military members mulching and landscaping in DC right now. 100 to Mike, we can't keep doing it. -100 to Mike, I'm cutting 90% of the federal spending, you extremist. Hell yeah, Mike, slash it. 100 to Mike for slashing 95% of the budget. 100 to Ryan, stop funding unessential departments. All right.
Well, you know, the crazy thing is about the budget, real quick, before we go, is, you know, we have a $36 trillion, what's probably $38 trillion debt right now. But if you count unfunded mandates like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, it's well over $100 trillion in debt. So that's the real scary thing, is that $100 trillion.
I think it's actually approaching 200 trillion. And that also doesn't count that all of the IT systems, 80% of them were rated as extremely vulnerable to cyber attacks. So that's not even counting that, like, basically every system that the government runs is like Windows 95 or something and needs drastic upgrading.
And
like,
nobody's surprised.
Remember how much
points to
Y2K cost before we were, you know, completely broke. Like 25 years later, the whole government needs to do that.
Yeah, 200 points to free for keeping my statistics and up to date.
Yeah, I like statistics, so I watch those. But yeah,
Well,
they won't tell us what it is either. So this is all speculation by people on the internet of what the number actually is, because, you know, they'll tell you that it's funded still, you know.
What I don't understand is why we send all this money to the federal government and it sends money back down. What do we have? 2.3, 2.7 million federal employees, not counting military. Why can't, and I get it, taxation is theft, but I'm a constitutionarian, so some taxes are necessary. But why aren't the majority of taxes sent to your communities and then to your cities and then to your states, and then a little bit can go to the federal government for the things it needs to do, like interstate commerce, things like that? Why do we send the bulk of our money to the feds so they can ship it back down to us after they've taken a cut? I don't get it. We're a confederation of independent states, or we should be. Let's
So,
act
Mike,
like it.
Mike, let me ask you a question. You say you're a constitutionalist. So, do you believe the Constitution from how it was founded, or how it is now?
Uh,
Because income tax
well,
wasn't on the original
when
Constitution.
they said all men are created equal, they didn't mean me, but it means me now. As Paul Mooney said, I'm free white and 21. Y'all
Well, I'm
can't
talking
mess
about
with me today.
in reference
So-
to the taxation. In reference to
As far as
taxation. Yeah.
I don't know that it really talked about taxes. The only thing I remember from the Constitution, it said money should clank. It should be gold and silver. That's what I remember from the Constitution.
The
I
income
remember
tax
we
wasn't
aren't supposed to
instituted.
have an army standing.
By coincidence, the income tax wasn't instituted until the Fed was
Until the Fed was
1913.
instituted in 1913, and they gave us the IRS too. So yeah,
And I think to briefly sort of answer your point, Mike, the reason that we're in that boat is because we're ran by a duopoly that's pure socialism. And the Republicans are finally starting to admit the fact that they're socialists too. You have Republicans in office that are openly advocating to keep funding social security, Medicare, Medicaid, and all of these social programs.
Hashtag less evil.
I mean, and I get the, the hearts and minds and tugging the strings. Like, I get it, but it's still socialism. They're just now starting to embrace it. I don't know who said it or when they said it, but there was a phrase a while ago that it's, if you want to see where the Republican Party is going to be at in 10 years, look at the Democrats today. And it's held true. We have to get the socialist mentality away from our hard-earned dollars, or it's never going to get better.
Can I talk to MAGA Republicans for a second? Just seriously, talk to you for just a second. We had it all. My boy's a MAGA Republican. He's a brother. He said, we got it all. Y'all got both chambers of Congress. Y'all got SCOTUS. Y'all got the White House. Y'all got everything. And we added 5.5 trillion to the debt over the next few years. Not getting a lot that's taken up by tariffs, but those tariffs are paid for by me because I'm throwing out hundreds like I used to throw out 20s. What we're doing is unsustainable. And this is the best you guys can do. This is your guy in there. He's sat there and he's got everything. He runs the whole government, and we still aren't winning. When are we going to slash government? When are we going to cut wars? This is all stuff that ran on. Nothing's changing because y'all insist on lesser evil. And it's kicking the crap out of us. I hope you notice.
Your internet went wonky there a little bit, but you did get 100 points for doing the robot. So
I did the robot, even better.
Yeah.
What I said wasn't that important anyway. Don't worry about
it.
We heard it.
I don't know. Your internet went real bad there. It's still, you're frozen with the Dr. Evil face. So I don't know if you've got something open or whatever. You're lagging a bit.
I'm frozen.
But, it's real bad. Like, you're about 3 pixels now, and okay, sounds good.
Yeah, he was like Minecraft Live there for a second. I wasn't sure how that
was. He went on an anti-Trump rant on Roblox.
Here we go with the plus 500 points for doing the robot.
It's coming.
Let me see. I'll do a couple while he's doing that.
Do you have any of those meme games loaded?
No.
Oh.
Dan says we don't know anything about college hockey, and it shows. Nobody cares, Dan. X won't let Terry post the Disabled American Veterans website, but that's the one that they were talking about. Lots of numbers according to Amity's debt badge that Massey gave her. Nice little humble brag there, Amity, minus 100 you.
Yeah, see how she used his first name? Not Congressman Massey, but
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah, Tommy boy. All right, let's see if he's
funny because Thomas was the doubter of God. Massey's the doubter of government.
Little better there. Little better
right now.
Scientific says it's not a lot of money if your money is worthless. Minus 100 to me. That's true. Minus 100 to Amity. I paid for my debt badge. Oh yeah, pissed me off. Yeah, ILL. That's all I have to say about that. Let's see. Minus 100 Ryan for lying about pumpkin spice latte he's drinking off camera. It is pumpkin spice season, so I did see that on the internet. Minus 100 Mike, there's no MAGA Republicans listening to this. That's probably true. All right. Well, Terry says there are. Okay. So yeah, we got over 3,000. So there's got to be a couple, like 80 million of them out there somewhere. All right. Minus 100 Dave for comparing Massey to doubting Thomas. Yeah.
I said he doubts government.
Massey does doubt the government. So that is kind of
Right.
a fair comparison. And all right. Where were we? All right. So that was the question Dave didn't like, but it turned out good. So 100 points to me. Ryan, to you. Should Americans vote on whether to fund wars?
We already do. You know, if we're supposed to have a representative democracy and we vote for people to put in there, to put into office that represent our ideology and how to spend our tax dollars, we do already vote for that. And we're making real poor choices at the ballot box.
Yeah, congratulations on your win.
The last anti-war president we've had was John F. Kennedy. And
we saw that
that's a
work
lot
out
of,
for him.
yeah, right. And when I talk to a lot of, El Paso's predominantly blue, and when I talk to a lot of Democrats, and me and Ryan do the same thing, we tell them we're more like the Kennedy Democrats, classical liberal, anti-war Democrat.
Yep. All right. Mike, to you. Do wars abroad rob states of money for schools and roads?
Roads? Wow. Roads. Yes.
What about my roads?
No, that's just what everybody says when I say taxation is theft. But roads, like we didn't have roads before we had taxes. Like we didn't have schools before we had taxes. Yes, that money could be better spent on roads and things, but I doubt it would be. So is it robbing it? No. But it's robbing everything. So yes. That's not a great answer.
I just had to throw in the roads,
Yeah.
Dave, to you. Oh, we had a little issue with sizing here. Should we cut foreign wars before cutting domestic programs?
Again, can we just cut both? But yeah, absolutely, we should cut foreign wars before we can cut domestic programs. But there's a lot of domestic programs that need to be cut. I like Ryan said, we definitely need to get back to the constitutional framework of what government should be. It's grown to such an astronomical amount. I would say that there's a interesting book called Fabian Libertarianism that talks about the Leviathan that government's grown into, and it basically just feeds itself to stay alive. And it's an interesting read if anybody wants. I think it's on the digital stuff. Fabian Libertarianism. But yeah, we should definitely cut foreign wars before we cut domestic programs. So we should cut both.
Okay.
You know how many domestic programs we could fund with $1 trillion?
All of them.
It's crazy. The Bible tells us that we should take care of the poor and the widows, right? And orphans. And, I'm not saying the government should do this, but there's a lot of people that complain, especially when we talk about the immigration debate about, the welfare state and stuff. Go look and see how much our federal budget goes to the welfare system. It's like 3%. There's 97 other percent we could cut before we got into that 3% when it comes to like domestic programs. That's the first thing people think of when they think domestic program. We need to cut welfare. No, it's a tiny amount. There's so much waste that's going on in other places in government that you would have to go to welfare. Not that I support that.
I threw that in there to throw a little shade. I got in trouble a week or two ago for saying I would fund every welfare program before a war. So I got in trouble for that. So throwing a little shade.
And there I go saying the same thing.
All right, Ryan. Central banks and war financing is the category. Should central banks be blamed for endless war?
Indirectly, yes. Only because that's where the money gets funneled through. But ultimately, it's corrupt-ass politicians and businessmen that are protecting their own energy assets or political assets or whatever assets. For crying out loud, we're involved in countries right now because we're protecting mineral rights. Like the United States has mineral rights in other countries, but we're banning other countries from purchasing land in our country. So yeah, indirectly, yeah, absolutely, central banks are to blame, but it really just comes down to selfish billionaires protecting their own interests and using the United States military to do it.
Okay. Dave, to you, or sorry, Mike, to you. Should America abolish debt-funded wars?
It should almost abolish all wars. Yeah. Yes. Yes. But debt funded, yes. I'm tired of going into debt so we can bomb brown people all over the world. Yes. I'm tired of it.
All right. Dave, to you. Should Congress reclaim control from unelected bankers?
How would that happen? I mean, ending the Fed? We should definitely end the Fed. Ending the Fed can't be like a snap your finger type of thing, and I mean that would just be devastating to the economy. But it definitely should be some kind of first thing we should do is audit the Fed. But I don't know who I would trust more, Congress or bankers. I mean, bankers at least have profit in mind. Congress is just power. So I power and profit. So I don't. That's a tough one. I mean, I would rather the power just go back to the people. We could just open up the market and make it free, and then the Fed and give people more of their own money back. I mean, then the people would be in power, and then Congress would be this big, and the bankers would be this big.
I like it. All right. Ryan, to you, new category, central banks versus crypto. Is decentralized money the antidote to centralized power? This is sponsored by our sponsor, Zano.
Yeah, thanks for giving me a question with crypto in it, because I know absolutely nothing about crypto. But when you take the money away from the people in power, they lose their ability to influence others because they don't have resources. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know a little bit about
crypto wasn't in the question, and I made sure I did that. So 100 points to me.
I said on the slide.
It says central banks versus crypto.
Well, that's a category, but I will say, talked about decentralized money for him.
I will say the thing that scares the government to death about Bitcoin is the fact that they can't control it. They can't raise interest rates on it. They can't borrow from it. They can't do anything to it. It's actually free money. If people would get more behind it and use it as currency, then or Bitcoin could be used as the gold standard for other cryptos and use those as currency, then you're basically taking the government out of finance and economics, and we get back to a more freer market.
And as
crypto, but it's decentralized money is more like Zano and the decentralized ones. We don't want CBDCs for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, as an add-on, all crypto is not created equal. Bitcoin rocks because there's no one in control of it, but things like Ethereum, XRP, Ripple. I think JP Morgan Chase owns that one. So you got to be careful that a central bank, like they want to have a digital dollar. That is crypto owned by the government. It's the worst thing in the world. But even a crypto owned by by any bank, JP Morgan, any of them, is not the same as Bitcoin. So research your crypto. I'm not an expert. Go talk to Sal the Agorist or something like that. He's all over the place talking about crypto. I like gold and silver.
Mike, there was an episode, it was about a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, free, where you had 3 self-renowned crypto experts on this game show. So if you're interested in that, go watch that show. There's plenty of answers.
Put that down.
Yeah, Aaron Day, Joel Fernandez, and Zach were on. So Zach Kaiser. And it was a good one. Thank you. All right, so Mike, to you. Should Americans trust blockchain more than central banks?
Americans should trust that van that says free ice cream and candy on the side more than central banks. Americans should trust Donald Trump on Air Lolita heading to Epstein Island more than central banks. Yeah, central banks cannot be trusted. Don't trust them, ever.
Awesome. Dave, to you. Would crypto end endless money printing for wars?
It has the capability to, if people would start trusting it more. I mean, we put so much trust into a piece of paper that I think I was reading somewhere, I don't know if this is true or not, but the piece of paper is literally like, it's not worth, if the piece of paper was made of gold, it wouldn't be worth it. still wouldn't be worth the same amount. Something like that. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it would end it.
Ooh, free. Can I debate that one?
Sure. Let's see.
Sure.
All right. So I'm going to remove me and Mike from the screen. You got 15 seconds to state your case, and Dave's got 15 seconds to reply, and then it'll go on longer than that, and I'll get confused. So that's how this works. Let's see. And
So I think it would increase the endless printing of money for wars, because it's doing that would devalue the dollar so much. The government's not going to shift to crypto or another type of currency. They're just going to print out more money and flood the market with more money, devaluing our dollar more to pay for the things that they want to pay for. I think it's going to require a complete economic collapse before the government stops printing money for anything.
Well, you kind of contradicted yourself, because you said they print money is going to devalue the dollar. They're not going to be able to buy as much stuff if the value of the dollar keeps decreasing. So the more money that they print, the less money that it's worth. So all it's going to do is increase inflation and push people more into crypto.
We've been doing that since we left the gold standard, and the government's not going to change. So I don't think it's going to stop them from printing. It's just going to increase the printing.
The question was shifting to crypto. Would that end it?
Well, I don't think it will. I think it's just going to increase the printing. It's not going to get us away completely. The government's just going to print more to try to cover the value.
Okay. I think our time's up.
all right. Let us know who you think won that debate. And all right. So next, back to Ryan. Category is surveillance and money. Should the government track every dollar you spend?
Oh, hell no. No, look, man, if I have to send my kid's baseball coach $50 because they're buying new uniforms and the government feels the need to track that through Cash App, that's a problem. And that's exactly where we're at right now. No, absolutely not.
Why would they need to? I mean, that's the real question, is why would they need to? Why would they want to? That's the scary thought. Why do they need to know what we're buying?
Well, Dave, I mean, you know that of all of the zip codes that are in El Paso, there's like 6 of them where the government tracks absolutely everything that you spend your money on. I know like 79936 and 79938 aren't part of that. But if you live in the lower valley, if you live, downtown, if you live kind of over by Sunland Park, the government's tracking everything that you spend anyways. National security.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, to you. Should Americans resist central bank digital currencies, CBDCs?
With everything they have, yes. Please resist a central bank owned currency. Yes. Resist it with everything you have. Because once they get it, we're done. There's no fighting. They track everything. They can literally turn off your money when they want to. There's nothing you can do. Nothing.
Yeah, and it's really the central banks realizing the power of digital currencies, and the fact that they can, the blockchain tracks everything. So I mean, if they're creating their own digital currencies, it's ultimate control, because if they control your money, they control your life. So I mean, and they're seeing the value in crypto, but then they're trying to corner the market in it also.
Yeah. Well, and they don't even have to print money at that point. They can just go type and a gazillion dollars can be added to the money and your money's worth less. And you didn't even notice it happening because they did it in the background overnight when you were sleeping.
I think it's kind of like that already with the Fed.
I was going to say, bad news for you, Mike. That's how it happens now.
I don't think
they at least got to print it now.
No, they don't.
It costs money to print.
I don't think they print it anymore. I think they just type it into computers. So
it's actually physically impossible to print enough money to match the amount of money that they've printed since 2020. So it's been way past that point for a while. So, and now they even allow the banks to create their own money. So it used to be the fractional reserve. Now they allow those same banks to just create money. So it's way worse than people know.
But what did they say? We lost 25% of the value of the dollar from 2020 to 2024, give or take, about 22, 25%.
Yeah.
So,
Also
yeah.
not counted in those trillions is the 5 trillion that they've printed since then, or whatever it is. It's a huge number.
Yeah, it's
If
all those
you had
fancy
$1 million in 2016, it's worth what, like 650 now or some crap like that? It's or 650K. And I forget the exact numbers, but it's on that scale. It's horrific.
Yeah, it's those $5,500 checks that Nancy Pelosi sent out that Donald Trump took credit for, right? Like that was the start of it, and everybody pushed back because we saw what was going to happen, and here we are. I say everybody that knows better pushed back,
And
right? But it goes back to the point of if government controls your money, then they have the power over your life. That's why we have Social Security. That's why we have Medicare. That's why we have Medicaid. That's why we have SNAP and WIC. Joe Hanush's favorite. That's why we have license plate stickers, right? So they can control literally every aspect of our life.
And that's why healthcare is tied to your job. Healthcare is tied to your job because you can't quit. Because if you quit and somebody gets sick, you're in trouble. So stay at that job.
Yeah, I'll lose 100 points for this because I'm going to talk about the school district. But our biggest financial challenge coming up over the next couple of years is our healthcare fund. We're supposed to be self-funded, but we dump $14 million a year into our healthcare fund. That's not sustainable, right? I thought the A in ACA was the Affordable Health Care Act, but everything has gotten more expensive since that legislation was passed and the Supreme Court upheld it. Get government out of everything, and I promise your life's going to be better. It might not be as convenient, it might not be as easy, but it's going to be better.
Two things about healthcare. One is ACA was Hillary Care from 1994 because I was working at Mutual of Omaha in 94 and they were scared of it. ACA, Obamacare, is Clinton Care from the 90s with all the poison pills that Republicans wanted in it that the Clintons refused. Obama let it happen. And two is I got TRICARE. I'm retired military. I got TRICARE. And that is socialized medicine, the very definition of socialized medicine. And I used to think that was the right idea. Give everybody TRICARE. Taxpayer funded. We subsidize it with, or taxpayer subsidized. We fund it with a thing. But my boy was in the UAE and he broke his nose. He had to have plastic surgery. He had to have follow-up appointments and he had medicines. And all of that cost him $160 without any insurance. Another friend of mine had a root canal in the Philippines, $26. Government interference is why this stuff costs so much in banking, in insurance, and in pharmaceuticals. Get government out of it, it'll handle it. It'll cheapen. The market will show what it's really worth.
Yeah, and it's something that Dave likes to say all the time, so I'm going to steal his thunder, but this is that prime example where government breaks your kneecaps, hands you a wheelchair, and says, "See, without us, how would you get around?" And that's where we're at in just about every aspect of this.
Yeah,
that was actually Joe Jorgensen's. She was one of her big campaign things that she went around saying. But I would like to, something I found interesting recently was breast cancer. Right, somebody very close to me had got breast cancer, had a mastectomy. So now they get a single mastectomy. So they get mammograms on the other one every 6 months to, make sure they don't. It's preventative now. I mean, it's not preventative. It's diagnostic is what they call it. Well, we have TRICARE. Diagnostic is not covered by TRICARE. So we have to pay out of pocket for diagnostic mammograms. They will only pay for preventative. And I was like, how does that make sense? It's more serious and more important now. And we got to pay for it ourselves.
I mean, that's probably why. Because you don't have a choice now because you're going to pay for it.
Right. All right. Dave, to you. Does financial surveillance destroy liberty?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the beginning of the police state. I mean, if they control your money, they control your life. And I mean, if you don't have the freedom to, I mean, it's just free market. I mean, if you don't have the freedom to spend your money or receive your money, we live in an economic system. I wish the world was like, Star Trek, where it was all based on merit and stuff and you didn't have money. And until we get replicators, it's not going to happen. But if they control your money, if they can see where everything you spend goes, then they can tax it wherever, or they can take it wherever, then yeah, you have no freedom anymore.
All right. That brings us to the scores. If you haven't entered your scores in the chat, do it now. Let's check out what's going on in the chat.
Dave needs plus 100 for replicators.
Referencing
Michelle's
Star
here.
Trek.
Welcome,
Come
Michelle.
on. Come on.
Minus 100 to Ryan for not acknowledging his historic win of $21 in Vegas. Yeah, that's fair.
Not bad, bro.
Minus 100 to Mike for road word salad. JFK did the Bay of Pigs invasion. The great Joe Hanush is with us. 100 to Dave for recognizing that welfare is a tiny slice of the pie. What's up, Hody? Hody just had a big win on here a couple weeks ago. 100 to Ryan for making the first good point he's ever made. That's good.
Thank you.
100 to Mike because he wants our evil government to stop bombing brown people overseas. Treasury yields are market driven. Get the Federal Reserve out of it. 100 to Ryan for knowing nothing about crypto. Minus 100, not during my sponsor thing. Tell people at the bus stop or something that you know nothing about crypto, not during the sponsor part. Minus 100 for Ryan for being a libertarian that knows nothing about crypto. That's fair.
Free association. All right.
Dave tried to give himself points. That's a Ryan Woodcraft move. That's not allowed. Don't buy crypto that's owned by a corporation. 100 to Mike for not trusting central banks. 100 to Ryan for the immediate hell no. You can divide a number an infinite amount of times. You can still decrease the value of crypto. 100 to Ryan for bringing up the most important issue of our lifetimes, car tag stickers. Minus 100 to Ryan for triggering him by mentioning car tag sticker tax. Minus 1 to Ryan for still wanting the state to collectively set ROE. Plus 1 for still wanting better. So that's 0 if you were keeping score at home. 1,000. So everyone, because free is taking 35% for tax. Bee stings, that just bee stings. Terry wants us to get to 5,000. We got to 5,000, so that must be an old comment. So thank you. Keep sharing. Non-accidental medical expenses around $5 trillion a year. The Nobel Prize lecture in physiology and medicine showed we can use cell targeting technology to cure these ailments. Scientific is trying to get us all to watch 2-hour Nobel Prize lectures, and nobody's doing it. Literally, no one's going to do it. So, 1,000 to Zeno. Excellent. Thank you, Patty. 100 to everyone for waiting while I took a bath. That's good. Minus $1 million to everyone for not saying anything dumb enough for my nuke. There you go. So
It's scientific. I watch those Nobel Prize documentaries, just to let you know.
Do you really? All right.
Yeah.
So send us directly to
Nobel
Dave,
Prize in
scientific.
Medicine in 2016 went to a Japanese doctor for his study of autophagy.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's my proof.
Oh my God.
Carl, if you don't follow Dave yet, you're missing out. You guys would get along great.
Yeah.
Good news is Dave never posts on social media, so I don't have to hear about it.
Michelle thinks this is cool. Thank you, Michelle. All right. So let's see where we're at score wise here. Mike's still with the big lead, 2201. Dave with 1,500. And Ryan's clawed back a little, like 300 points since then.
I'm going the wrong way, guys. I gotta go.
So, all right. Do we have time for one more round? Yeah, we're at like 90 minutes. Let's go fast through one more and see where we end up. I want to see if Ryan can end up in negative 4-digit territory. So,
Do you want me to use my Larry Sharp or my Maj Tor answers? Like what kind of quick are we talking here?
neither of those would be, yeah. All right. Ryan, you, transparency and accountability in war. Should every military contract be made public?
Yes, unequivocally.
I can vouch for him.
Nice.
He's very serious about that.
Mike, is Washington hiding the true cost of war?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My job, I said data scientist, you guys in the Army, I was in ORSA. And in the Air Force, that's attached to acquisitions. I know more than you. I know too much about acquisitions, and we are absolutely hiding the cost of all that stuff. Yes. Yes.
All right.
You could just say Washington is hiding the true cost of fill in the blank.
everything.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. Dave, to you. Should the Pentagon be held liable, criminally liable, for the missing trillions?
Absolutely. If you could narrow down who was actually responsible for it, then for sure there should be. I mean, what is it? It would have to be like extortion or some other. You'd have to find what criminal offense would be covered, but you would have to narrow it down to a particular person or people. I mean, you can't just. You're not. What are you going to do? Throw the Pentagon building in the prison? Which is a good idea, but yeah.
All right. Ryan, to you. Should secret military budgets be outlawed?
Yes, unequivocally. Secret programs, sure. How they're funded, still public.
Okay, good answer. Mike, to you. Should whistleblowers exposing war lies be protected, not punished?
Absolutely. Yes. Whistleblowers need protection.
Okay. Dave, to you. Is accountability impossible while Washington hides behind national security?
Yes, in the Patriot Act. We should know more about what the government's doing than they know about what we're doing. I think it's completely backwards right now. The government has all the secrets and all the privacy, and we have very little.
Okay. Ryan, to you. New category, veterans and aftermath. Do VA conditions show America doesn't care about veterans?
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I actually like the way I'm being treated by the VA right now. And so from a selfish perspective, I don't think it's not as bad for me as it is for others. Now, that doesn't diminish how bad it is for others in other regions. And there's a lot of work that Veterans Affairs needs to do to get that up to standard, or figure out a way to privatize what they're doing so taxpayers aren't subsidizing it.
A little pushback though, dude, the VA, the amount of accidents and maltreatment and mistreatments and malpractice that they have, everybody points at it and goes, it's horrific, until you look at civilian hospitals and their number of accidents and their level of malpractice and infections and things like that. The VA is actually world-class medicine, and it's billions and billions of dollars that the civilian healthcare companies are trying to get rid of. Do not let them take your VA system away from you, gentlemen. Stay in it and join the DAV, join the Veterans of Foreign Wars, join the Legion, and protect the benefits that we have, because that's one of the few things I actually agree that the government should pay for. If you did time in the shit, pardon my language, you should be paid for it. And if they got millions of us that need to be paid, vote for better politicians that don't put millions of people to war. Pay what you owe.
I agree with that 100%. The problem with the VA is not the people or the practice. The problem with the VA is the bureaucracy. It's the politicians controlling medical care. If we could get the politicians out of it and let veterans control it, let us simplify it. Let's just make it easier. We could make it less expensive. But yeah, I don't agree that the VA should be defunded. I use it too. I'm telling you that we have one of the worst VAs in the country in El Paso, and the people are outstanding. The bureaucracy and how it's funded and where the money goes and stuff is just ridiculously stupid.
Yeah,
I always say when we talk about cutting spending, that does not include obligations. And so our obligations to our vets should be paid first. So when I talk about cutting spending, I'm never talking about screwing our vets that were promised something and should receive it.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in you break it, you buy it. And the Army broke us, right? Like they broke us hard and put us up wet. And now they're trying to make amends for it. And I'm good with that. But, when I said privatize, right? Yes, I agree, Mike. Yes, I agree, Dave. But there's more accountability on the private sector because you can utilize malpractice lawsuits. You can take other steps to hold folks accountable. With the VA, that's not necessarily the case. Now, I have not had that experience. I mean, doggone, I just realized this year that I can get massage therapy mostly on the VA's dime for my chronic neck pain. What other healthcare provides that at that kind of cost? So selfishly, I'm all for it. But it can be better. There can be more accountability and less bureaucracy there.
Those medical medical savings accounts, you can go to chiropractors and massage and stuff through those. If you have the health savings plans, whatever they're called, the little percent you can put away. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, but I'm cheap and I don't do it. I mean, I'm fiscally responsible. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good news, Ryan. The Sox just beat the Tigers, so
7-5. I've been watching. Yeah. Second
Good news
worst team
for
in
you.
baseball, and we can't pull it up.
Yeah. Happy I could make your night with that. All right, Mike, to you. Should service members have veto power over foreign assignments?
No. Service members don't participate in democracy. We protect democracy. You don't get votes. You go do what you're told within reason. You should have the ability to quit if you really don't like what's going on.
All right, that's close. I'm still trying to get somebody to answer this. Yes. Why is it like slavery? Why should you not be able to quit like any other job?
Military's different. It's the profession of arms. There's orders you have to follow. When you say charge that hill and somebody's shooting down at you with a machine gun, my answer is hell no. I joined the Air Force. What's your problem? No, there's certain things that you have to do in order to be in the military that I just don't know how to say it. You don't get veto power. You do as you're told to get the mission done. And you signed on the line that was dotted, and it's a sacrifice. You were giving of yourself. And there are things that need to be done, and they're not going to be easy. So sometimes you got to do them, and sometimes it costs your butt. And that's just how it is.
I can't speak for the Air Force, but the Department of the Army will give you one. You can sign one deck statement. Now, you sign that deck statement, and you're saying, hey, I'm getting out of the Army, and I'm never going to serve it anymore.
That's a 7-day option. If they try to send you to an assignment, you can 7-day opt. There's one that it's a 7-day option. You go, hell no, I ain't doing it. And you can get out. But that's the only time, that's the only vote you get.
Yeah, you don't get
you
to
want
stay
a 7-day opt and turn down an assignment, you can. But then you get out and that's it. You're done.
Yep.
So.
All right, Dave, to you. Do service members pay the highest price for political wars?
Oh, absolutely. The damage to the family, the mental challenge to the service member, and then the families when they get back, divorce rates are higher. I mean, the whole family structure is damaged from it. So most definitely the service member pays the highest price, and their family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, to you. Defend the Guard. And we're having Dan McKnight on eventually. We're trying to get him scheduled, but I would like to point out his great organization and bring our troops home. So categories: Defend the Guard. Should states refuse to send their National Guard to undeclared wars?
Yeah, absolutely. The more that I learn about the Defend the Guard legislature, the more I support it. A year and a half ago, I was kind of in that in between. I could see the benefits of not having it, but the more I learn about it, absolutely. And to be completely frank, the governor should be able to veto the federalization of National Guard troops for nonsense like sweeping the streets of Washington, D.C. so somebody can earn political points with supporters.
The National Guard used to be strategic reserve, by the way. George Bush the Younger was a fighter pilot who never left Texas during the Vietnam War because he was Guard. They went from strategic reserves to being de facto reservists. And the entire point of the Guard was to backfill at home. It wasn't to go out and go to war all the time. Now it is. They changed that in the 2010s.
Yeah, and that's the same argument that you could make on, for the anti-Second Amendment folks. Like, well, the Second Amendment applies only to militias, and we don't have militias anymore because we have the National Guard, so nobody should own guns. But when you look at the history of the National Guard, that was never the intent to begin with.
Yeah.
Have you ever had Scott Horton on? He's a big defend the guard guy from Texas. I think
he's
part
actually
of Upper
still
Texas.
answering one of our questions from the time he was on a couple months ago. So,
Yeah.
no, he was great.
Okay.
He was fantastic. So it was actually right. I think it was like 2 days after we went after Iran, so it was perfect timing.
Yeah, it was
Kudos
during
to
Pork
Terry
Fest,
for
wasn't
that.
it?
What's that?
It was during Pork Fest. Like he was at a campfire for Pork Fest or something.
I don't know if the smoke was the campfire or if it was something else, but yeah, there was a lot of smoke and stuff. Yeah. All right. Mike, to you. Do National Guard troops exist to defend states, not foreign soil?
Yes. Well, yes. National Guard is supposed to protect the home front. They're supposed to backfill and protect home. Yeah.
Okay. Dave, to you. Do Guard deployments abroad weaken state disaster readiness?
Oh, absolutely. I mean that, and like you're saying, they belong to the states. That's what they're there for. They're for disaster relief and to backfill when the active duty has to leave. They're basically the skeleton crew that can take over a base and run it, and they react to natural disasters. So yes, absolutely.
All right, Ryan, to you. Money in politics. Should defense contractors be banned from donating to politicians?
Defense contract companies, absolutely. Individual people, no.
Okay. Mike, to you. Is dark money fueling America's foreign wars?
No, I don't think it has to. I think there's enough corruption with actual money and bankers that they don't need dark money.
All right. Fair enough. All right.
Dark money's more for the local politics.
Yeah. Dave, is Congress bought and paid for by the war machine?
Oh, I don't like to group people into, one group, but for the most part, yes, I would agree. I mean, if you look, well, actually, Congress is bought and paid for by not only the military industrial complex, but the 5 largest lobbyists in government, which are the food industry, the banking industry, HMOs, pharmaceuticals, and banks. Those are the 5 biggest lobbyists in Congress. So they're the ones who actually run our government. Military industrial complex, I think, is just kind of a on the side type of thing, but for sure they're a big influence.
Getting money out of politics would save us a lot, though, because when I was running for Senate, the average Senate race was 25 million. 6 years, that's what, $12,000 a day you have to fundraise in order to get successfully reelected. I'm not going to give them that much. I might give $1,000. I might give $2,000. They need 5 more of me for one day's fundraising. Yeah. They are owned by money.
What they really need to do is eliminate PACs.
Get money out of politics completely. And I don't know how you do that.
If you defund the federal government, then there's nothing to steal, so they'll get less interested in stealing our government from us. So
yeah, and that's a point I've made before too, is that we don't really have to get rid of lobbyists. We just have to get rid of the power in government that the lobbyists are trying to control. So if you remove the government's ability to regulate, then most of those companies won't have anything to lobby for. So you've just pulled that money out of government. Now you have a more representative government.
Absolutely. All right, Ryan, to you. Category is militarization of policing. Should cops be stripped of military surplus gear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I teed this one up for you. This was like one of my favorite quotes from you is this one. Let's try this again. I'm gonna hit the rewind button real quick. Should cops be stripped of military surplus gear?
I was trying to go fast because we're running out of time. Yeah, absolutely. When you start looking at the militarization of our local police forces, it's less about protect and serve and more about overwhelming firepower and applying that firepower into cases that it doesn't belong. I'm not sure exactly which quote you're referencing from me, But you know,
The quality of the gear.
this is not an anti back the blue. This is not an anti law enforcement stance. This is I don't need my school district's police department to have MRAPs. There's no need for that. So yeah, take it away.
It was the quality of the gear joke that you always tell.
Well, I mean, anything that's military grade is the cheapest thing on the market anyways. I mean, I wouldn't want my law enforcement officials to have it, but
The only reason to militarize the police is if you're trying to subdue the population.
Very true. All right, Ryan, that was terrible. So I'll take credit for that. Minus 100 to me for teeing you up for a joke that wasn't funny. So
I was trying to go fast, man.
yeah, the Tigers loss is really weighing on you, and now you got a bad Michigan season ahead of you. There's a lot of problems going on. So, all right,
I will say the thing that would really fix a lot of the problems we have in the police with police or the back the blue thing and everything is if we would get police back in the communities, like engaging with the public in more positive ways and less, and so that every time you see a police officer isn't a negative engagement, that you have more positive engagement.
agreed.
Yep.
Mike, to you. Should SWAT raids be outlawed for nonviolent crimes?
Yes. Yes.
I bet you the Tigers wish they got slow pitches.
I mean,
like
there are
that.
very few things I think SWAT should be going out and doing. SWAT is for reacting to like those guys that had military grade equipment when they were robbing the bank out in LA. That's what SWAT's for. Going out and stopping idiots who come at you with assault weapons. And I'm sorry to say assault weapons. I understand there's no such thing. But you know what I mean. You're running around with an AR. You're robbing a bank. SWAT should respond to that. I'm not sure they should respond to somebody, selling drugs or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Dave, do you trust cops with drones armed like soldiers?
No. I mean, cops have enough trouble identifying friend from foe on the streets. Now you're going to give them military grade drones and expect them to be able to tell whether, it's a toy gun or a real gun. That's a very scary concept right there.
I'm here to scare. Ryan, to you. Categories local governance. Should states nullify federal laws that overstep?
100%. 100%. I mean, I'm a 10th Amendment kind of guy. Unequivocally, yes.
Okay.
Jury nullification. Jury nullification. A jury has a right to nullify any law or conviction that they deem to be unjust. Should have used it a lot in COVID. I wish people would have.
Absolutely. Mike, to you. Do local governments serve citizens better than Washington?
Yes. The lower down you get, the more efficiently they use the stuff, at least. Or I don't know if it's more efficiently, but they got to pay off less folks on the way up. So yes, you get more bang for your buck locally and in communities.
The problem with that is Washington gets the print money, so they don't have to raise taxes because they can just print money and raise taxes on everybody through inflation. Local governments, though, they found this little thing that they can do called borrowing money through bonds and certificates of obligation, so they can run up their debt that way. They can't actually print money, but they can borrow their citizens to death.
Agreed. All right, last question of the night to you, Dave. Should towns have the right to reject federal programs?
Absolutely. The lower the power base, the better. The closer to the actual citizen, the ultimate power should be in the individual citizen. So, what is it? Individual governance. That's the highest level of power, and then it should become less as it goes up. So the federal government should have the least amount of power. Local government should have the most amount of power.
All right. And that gets us to the scores. If you haven't put your scores in the chat, do so now and tell us who you thought won. And make sure you share this out one more time and make sure people hear these great answers from these three great vets. Mike, Minus 100 to Ryan to help the cause. Minus 5K. 100 to Dave for getting rid of the Patriot Act. Thank you all for your service to our country. 100 to anyone who mentions Dr. Belay's investment healthcare retirement plan that eliminates Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and the majority of insurance companies. Thanks for the short comment there, Scientific. That doesn't look like anybody's going to do. Minus 100 to Mike, just married a massage therapist like I did. I thought you hired one. You married one? All right, never mind.
It was Ryan,
I don't,
massage therapist.
Dan says, I don't want to deduct points from Mike. I want to buy him a drink and pick his brain. Yeah, Mike's a good hang. I got to hang out with Mike at the convention. He's a good guy. 100 to Ryan for base 2A reference. 100 to Mike for 86ing money in politics. 100 to Ryan, no military gear for cops. Minus 100 for being anti back the blue. 100 to Dave for militarizing police to control the population comment. 100 to Dave on jury nullification. Minus 100 to Free for going past my bedtime. Sorry about that, Si. You are married to a massage therapist, so that is a bad thing for me to do to you. All right, so let's see where we ended up here. And it got closer. Interesting. But Mike still ran away with it, 2201. Dave with an even 2,000. Ryan with negative 699. Ryan, you came in third. What did you think?
In typical fashion, I never achieved what I wanted to achieve, even when I set my goals as something realistic. It was a great time. It's always a good time when I can talk with Dave. We do it frequently. And to bring Mike into the loop. Mike, I hope you come back on more, man. It was great to have you here. Absolute excellent time. I love you guys. You are my brothers in arms. You're my brothers in liberty. And let's lock elbows and make this thing push forward.
Ryan, anything you want to pitch or plug?
You know what? No, I'm going to defer my time to Dave and Mike. The people have heard from me enough. They know that I stink at this show, so I'll defer my time to the real winners.
He's at Woodcraft 4EP. If you want updates from 7th grade basketball, that's what his whole feed is right now. So, I have him muted right now. So last I saw, that's what it was. But
still is, yeah, all in. We are all in Team SISD.
Dave, you made a nice late run, but then you fell just short. What did you think your first appearance?
Oh, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'll be better prepared next time. I understand how the point system works now. More snide comments, a little bit more comedy. I really, next time I'm on, because there will be a next time, I'm sure. I definitely want to see how to get nuked. So that is definitely, nobody got nuked this time. So I don't know what that looks like. So I'm going to try harder next time.
I don't know if they were scared of 3 vets or they were being respectful or if it was a combination of the two, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I was going to double down on the Patriot Act thing and see if that got me nuked, but I guess it didn't. So. I would like to point out that Ryan is the real rock star. I mean, that guy, he came in. We actually started talking about 2 years before he retired from the Army. And then when he finally got out, he started getting active in the party. He ran for office. And I mean, this dude put in the work for liberty. I'm telling you, he is a rock star in El Paso. He's the face and the voice of the party. I'm the chair and he's the face and the voice of the party in El Paso. He does outstanding work and I love him for it because he takes a lot of the trouble off of me.
Ryan never gets complimented on the show, so I don't really know what to do with that. But
I'm not sure he's a real libertarian. He won an election.
Right? He's got to be a statist, right?
He's got to be a statist somehow. I don't know how. We're gonna figure it out.
I tell people that I was like, it's really hard for libertarians in politics because in order to run for office, you got to be a statist. You want to control other people.
Yeah. So I don't know. He won.
And so Dave's, we got up here the EPTXLP account. He's also Dave Libertarian on X. As Ryan said, he doesn't post ever, so that's important information. You can go to the lplpaso.org website to donate. They're doing great work. They're fighting the fight down there. Good people. Hope to make it out there soon myself at some point. And Mike, your first appearance and the big win. What did you think?
It was the most fun I've had on a Friday night with my clothes on. Thank you very much for having me. It was kind of awesome. I had a good time.
That's great. And
If I could, real
thank you
quick,
for
Free.
keeping your clothes on.
If I could, real free, quick,
yeah.
I have a YouTube channel I used back in 2020, and I did a lot of little short, they call them libertarian minutes. And if anybody wants to use any of them and share them around, I don't really do much on the YouTube channel anymore, but I think these little short videos I did have some value, so you could share that for me.
Throw it in the chat real quick, and I'll put it up. Okay, it's where is it? I don't see it. It might have gotten censored.
It's in the link. It's in the StreamYard chat.
Oh, I don't know how to do that.
I can put it in X
chat. Terry will do it. You'll be all right.
Yes, somebody's got to cut and paste it to the regular chat. So
they may be the worst videos you've ever seen. I just want to warn everyone right now. They are grade C trash with great messaging.
God, never mind. I take that whole compliment back now. This guy's trash.
Dave has ran into his one fan twice.
He's a Republican.
Forgot that he was his one fan from the first time. He's like, no, I have more fans. There was a guy at a restaurant once. And the guy's like, no, that was me.
True story.
Oh, my God. Wow. All right. Let me throw up here Mike's information. He's at Mike Scott, one word with the numeral 1. Mike Scott, one word. And there's lpmaryland.org up there as well. Great job, Mike. And I want to throw Terry back up here too. Terry, what'd you think tonight?
I loved it, Free. I did. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to throw this up while I'm on the screen because it doesn't matter to me. So here's your disabled American veterans at dav.org, or to donate, you can go to help.dav.org. So I wanted to make sure that got out there, and it, was well known, and it will be in our post on the after show for the replays. And you guys were awesome. Dave, Mike, and Ryan. I'm going to do something I don't ever do, but here we go. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service from the bottom of my heart. I come from a military family, and I truly appreciate everything you guys have done. I don't care if it was peeling potatoes or on the front lines. It doesn't matter. Thanks to all of you very much. I appreciate it. I had a great time with you tonight, and I do look forward to doing it again. So thank you, everybody in chat. As always, you are the best.
Awesome. And let me throw this up too. There's Dave's Libertarian Dave's YouTube channel, youtube.com @Libertarian Dave. And we got a really good endorsement. So everyone check that out. And perfect. So, and yeah, thanks for your service, guys. Thanks for coming on tonight. We like trying to put people on that there's a theme, and I think there's really nothing more important than talking to veterans about war, because you guys paid the price. Some paid the ultimate price, but we talked about the family hardships, the economic hardships, the wear and tear, the long-lasting effects, all those things. We don't hear about that in the media really at all anymore. And, I think that should be front and center on our mind when we're talking about all these foreign conflicts. And, even though so much of it can be done by drone or whatever, it's still murder and mayhem and lots of bad stuff going on. So we really appreciate you guys sharing your opinions, your thoughts, and your knowledge about all this. I learned a bunch tonight. I hope the chat did as well. And so thank you again. And thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys make this so much fun, except for Chris's question. I didn't really appreciate that at all. But everything else was great. And we really appreciate you all. And we'll be back Tuesday. Who do we got on Tuesday, Terry?
We will have another great show coming up on Tuesday. We have Robert Yates, Jack Danger, and Paul Darr from the Libertarian Party. So that's going to be interesting. And I know Free will come up with some great questions. I've seen what their choices were for the questions, and he'll have fun. I guarantee it. So come and see us on Tuesday.
Awesome.
LP Texas own Paul Dar. Come
Yes.
on.
Yes. And I was his official photographer at Freedom Fest. So every picture he posts, I say I took that. So I'm in his comments. So
Terry, he may be a foot shorter than you are on camera as well. So we're gonna have to adjust.
No, I'm here to tell you guys, I doubt very seriously if he's a foot shorter than me. I am short, period.
no, not a chance. Absolutely not a chance. I stood next to both of them this
I would
summer.
say,
So, yeah.
I would say Paul Dar had the toughest job on Select, which is our state libertarian executive committee, because he had to report to us everything that was happening at National from 2020 on. So, oh man. So go easy on him, guys.
All right. Hang out for a second, guys. I'm going to end the stream. Appreciate you all. Join us Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody, and have